So I got asked a question, and I'm going to take today to share that answer. And the question that I got asked is, Andrea, why is it so hard to be accountable? And I've got two reasons for that. The first reason is that commitment. It's that commitment. So when somebody's made a commitment, that means there's no other option. And I want to say, though, that's why I love the question. Why is it so hard to be accountable? Because that means they're committed, but they're struggling. And I think a lot of people are going to go through that. That's normal. Whether it's a commitment to the health and wellness tips that I talked about last week, whether it's a commitment to their finances, to their budget, whether it's a commitment to learning about themselves and practicing a new discipline. But the second thing is it's not written down. It's like, just even the health and wellness tips that I talked about last week. If that's written down, you've already committed to it and you're going to do it, then it's writing it down and it's keeping track of it. I always like to look at it, whether it's food or whether it's money. You can only spend the money that you have. And the same happens with food. If you only give yourself a certain allowance of food and that's what you actually spend. And don't try to save some for tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. Spend what you have today. But it's truly that. Because the reason we can't be accountable is because we're not accountable to anything, right? So if we understand the bigger picture, then we're going to write it down because we want to be accountable. We're not thinking and listening to what our feelings are saying. We're not going through a day flying by to the seat of our pants, hoping it all works out. No, we've already made the commitment. We understand why we've made the commitment. It's for the bigger picture. Whatever that bigger picture is going to be for you, it's going to be different for all of us. But it's still understanding that we're still getting strengthened against a force that's trying to weaken us. We're getting strengthened against where we came from. If it's new for you especially, you're moving further and further away from old habits, old patterns, old behaviors, old ways of thinking. So everything needs to be new, and including writing it down and understanding it. And again, it's as simple as just even looking at it as money. If you were given $15 a day and you were told to spend that $15 a day, that's what you'd spend. The same as with food. You wouldn't spend more than it. And if you were told, but if you don't spend all $15, you don't get it for the next day, it's wasted. It's kind of the same. You'd keep track of it. You'd write it down. You'd know what you're going to do. You'd sit down and you'd make a plan. Why? For the bigger picture. Because even if you were given $15 a day, the question would be, would you want to waste it, or would you want to look at what's the bigger picture? Well, what could I do with this $15 a day that every day would add value to the next day? You'd think about it differently. If you looked at your health and your well-being in that same light, well, what would be the best thing to do with this use of my 4 to 6 meals a day and good nutrition, good nutrients? What would be the best use of it that's going to add value to tomorrow? What's going to make me even stronger? What's going to make me think clearer? What's going to give me more energy? It's always looking at the big picture. It's being accountable, but it's also writing it down. And I do say write it down. When we write things down, it gets anchored on our heart. When we put it, even if we put it in our phone, even if we follow one of those fancy apps in our phone, it's not getting written on the tablet of our heart. It just goes into our mind. Therefore, we don't own it. That's the difference. We don't own it. When you are accountable to something, when you've made a commitment, you own it. And once that happens, it's not hard to be accountable. Yes, well, you have to fight the urges of your emotions that are like, I just don't feel like it. That's when you're just like, okay, I won't ask my feelings how I feel. I remember even for myself and for people that I coached before, it's like, just go walk up and down the stairs in your home for 5 minutes. You'll change your mind real fast. You won't be thinking about how you feel anymore. And it's so true. It's like, just change what you're thinking and you'll change what you're feeling. That's all. It's honestly, it's that simple. So I just wanted to share that because that's such a valid question. Why is it so hard to be accountable? Because I do believe that people make that commitment, but they miss the mark on what does it look like to be accountable. And that's honestly what it looks like. It's writing it down. Period. And I know now it's just simplified for you. We do have tools in our shop that'll make things more simple for you to write things